Have you ever noticed that when people stop chasing something, it suddenly starts coming to them? The moment they let go, the world seems to shift in their favor, yet right now they are stuck. Someone walked away, and all they can do is replay every conversation, every text, every moment, searching for answers that will never come. They tell themselves it doesn't matter that the other person has already moved on, but deep down they wonder, what if that person is losing sleep over them? What if, behind closed doors, they are feeling the absence but will never admit it? This is where most people break. They beg, they chase, they try to fix what's already beyond repair, thinking that their desperation might somehow change the outcome. But in doing so, they give up the very thing that could have shifted everything, their power. When someone seeks validation from a person who has already turned their back, they don't make that person reconsider. They only confirm their decision. They make it easy for the other person to walk away without hesitation or regret. But they will not be that person. They won't plead for another chance or trade their dignity for the illusion of comfort. Instead, they'll do the one thing the other person never expected. They'll walk away, not just in body, but in mind and spirit. They will detach, not out of spite or as a tactic, but because they finally understand their worth. They will embrace stoic detachment, letting go of what they cannot control. In doing so, they will become the one who is missed. Here's the truth. People don't regret losing the ones who begged for them. They regret losing those who became untouchable, the ones who transformed their pain into strength, the ones who evolved so drastically that they became unrecognizable. When that shift happens, when their absence is finally felt, when the weight of losing them becomes real, that's when the tables turn. But here's the key. This isn't about revenge or proving anything. This is about them. It's about reclaiming the power they forgot they had, about understanding that their worth was never tied to someone else's presence or approval. It's about stepping into their own greatness and letting life take care of the rest. Because the moment they stop needing that other person is when the other person starts wondering why. That's the moment doubt creeps in. And that's the first step, letting go of control. No more overanalyzing, no more waiting for closure, no more playing the role of the heartbroken. They reclaim their power by realizing that nothing outside of them should have the ability to disturb their inner peace. The past is over. The story is already written. The chapter is closed. They are not chasing ghosts anymore. If they're ready to take back their power, all they have to do is make a choice, to let go, to move forward, to rise. Number 1, turn your pain into power. Right now it hurts, there's no denying it. The weight of rejection, the sting of betrayal, the emptiness where someone used to be, it's all consuming. Their mind keeps circling back to the same thoughts. What went wrong? Was I not good enough? Are they thinking about me? They tell themselves that person has moved on, that they're happy without them, and that realization cuts deep. But listen closely. This pain is not the enemy. It is the greatest teacher. Pain has a way of making people believe it's permanent, but it isn't. Pain is a storm, and storms always pass. What they do in the middle of it is what matters. They have two choices. Let it consume them or use it to build something unshakable. Most people let heartbreak define them. They break down, drown in regret, and stay trapped in the past, hoping things will go back to how they were. But those who rise understand something most never will. Pain is the raw material of power. It's the fire that forges strength. It's the price of transformation. Think of warriors, the ones history never forgot. The Spartans, the samurai, the gladiators. None of them were hardened by comfort. They were shaped by suffering. They endured pain so intense it would break the average person. But instead of running from it, they embraced it. They understood that suffering was not a curse. It was a rite of passage. Growth does not happen in still waters. It happens in the storm. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What does that mean? It means that the very thing that feels like an obstacle right now, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights, the hollow feeling inside, is actually the path forward. The fire isn't here to burn them down, it's here to refine them. Right now they might be wondering, but how? How do I turn pain into power? By refusing to let it weaken them, by using every ounce of it to fuel their growth. Pain is energy, and energy is never lost. It is only transferred. If they do nothing, it will bury them. But if they take it and pour it into something greater, whether that's building their mind, their body, or their purpose, it will transform them. Pain is temporary, but the strength they build from it will last forever. Maybe right now the thought of moving forward feels impossible. Maybe they believe this wound will never heal. But here's the truth. A year from now, this will be a distant memory. The only thing that will matter is what they did with it. Did they let it break them? Or did they let it sculpt them into someone unshakable? Every great figure in history has suffered. Every warrior, every leader, every legend has faced a moment where pain could have destroyed them. But they didn't let it. They turned it into their weapon. Because pain, when embraced, becomes power. And power is something no one can ever take away from them again. Number 2, vanish without a trace. Silence is a secret weapon, and most people never realize how powerful it can be. When someone walks away from them, the immediate reaction is often panic, texting, calling, and analyzing every last interaction, as if there's some hidden combination of words or actions that could fix the situation. They believe persistence will reignite what is burned out. Yet, the harder they chase, the further that person drifts, almost as if they're slipping through their fingers like sand. In chasing, they prove one thing above all. They're still caught in the other person's gravitational pull. They're still handing over their sense of control. The moment they choose silence instead, everything changes. It's as if they've disappeared off the radar, and that sudden absence triggers a sense of unease in the other person. Human beings crave certainty. They like to know where they stand, even when they're the ones who walked away. But when someone stops reaching out entirely, that certainty evaporates. Questions arise. Did they really move on? Are they no longer interested? Why aren't they begging for another chance? It's in that vacuum of silence that doubt begins to echo. Some might ask, isn't silence a sign of weakness? Isn't walking away just giving up? In reality, it's the exact opposite. Silence can speak louder than any argument ever could. When they refuse to engage in drawn-out conflicts or desperate pleas, they send a clear message. I respect myself enough not to beg for anyone's attention. This isn't an act of pride, but one of self-preservation. By retreating from the battlefield of endless texting and obsessive rumination, they remove themselves from a cycle that only reinforces rejection. It's akin to a master chess player who chooses not to move a piece out of panic. They wait, planning each strategy, observing the board from a distance. The other person, once so confident in their decision, might start to second guess. They might think, wait, maybe I was too hasty. Maybe I've lost something I didn't fully appreciate. When faced with silence, the brain scrambles to fill the void. That's the silent power of disappearance. It forces the other person to confront the echo of their choices. This idea isn't just about relationships. It's woven into the fabric of life. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. How much energy is wasted on people who have already walked away? How many hours are spent replaying old messages, scrolling through profiles, and imagining closure that never comes?" Silence is a way to reclaim that time, to use it for self-reflection, to build a stronger sense of identity, rather than pouring every waking moment into questions that have no satisfying answers. They redirect that focus into pursuits that nurture the mind, body, and spirit. One might wonder, but won't I lose them forever if I'm silent? If silence alone is enough to make the other person forget, then there was never a true bond to begin with. Lasting connections don't disintegrate simply because of a pause in communication. By stepping back, they allow space for genuine reflection on both sides. If the other person returns, it will be out of genuine intent, not out of pity or habit. If they don't, then all they've lost is the illusion of a relationship that never truly existed in the first place. Imagine a candle in a dark room. Its glow is comforting and easy to take for granted. But blow that candle out, and suddenly the darkness is overwhelming. The absence of light makes the memory of that glow far more powerful. That's what silence does. It reminds people of what they once had, making them question whether they can handle the darkness without it. And if they can, then both parties are free to move on without the chains of unanswered questions or unfinished stories. Ultimately, disappearing isn't about manipulation or playing mind games. It's about preserving dignity and peace of mind in a world that screams for attention and validation. Choosing silence becomes an act of personal revolution. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Instead of lashing out or pleading for reconsideration, they simply step away, leaving the other person to face the echoes of their own decisions. There's a quiet, unspoken power in this approach. It reclaims control by saying, "I won't give away my self-worth just because someone else has stepped out of my life." In doing so, they create an environment where respect, both self-respect and the respect of others, the storm that once threatened to destroy them now becomes a chance to demonstrate inner calm, to show resilience without uttering a single word. No one can predict what will happen next. The future may hold reconciliation or permanent separation, but by opting for silence, they break the cycle of desperate pursuit that only feeds another person's ego. They stand firm, allowing time and space to do their work. And in that stillness, in that unwavering calm, they often discover that they don't need to chase anyone to be complete. By vanishing without a trace, they've made their presence more potent than ever. Number 3. Tame the storm within. Imagine walking into a crowded room where everyone jostles for attention. Some shout, some stomp, some wave their arms wildly. Yet there is one person who stands apart, calm, composed, and unmoved by the chaos. No matter how turbulent the environment, this individual remains centered, free from the pull of anger, desperation, or the need to prove anything. There is a magnetic quality to such composure, a silent draw that commands respect without speaking a word. This is the embodiment of emotional mastery, and it lies at the core of true attraction and influence. Most people confuse emotional control with a lack of feeling. They assume that those who show no outward reaction must be empty inside, numb to the joys and sorrows of life. In truth, emotional mastery is not about shutting down one's heart. It's about acknowledging every emotion: fear, hurt, anger, longing, and choosing not to be ruled by them. Just because they recognize the sting of rejection or heartbreak doesn't mean they have to lash out or beg for someone's return. Instead, they can observe the waves of emotion, let them crash, and remain steadfast on the shore. This approach often confounds anyone who expects a meltdown when that person walks away. They might have anticipated a show of distress, late-night texts, tearful pleas, or dramatic outbursts. But when none of these arrive, a subtle shift happens in their mind. Why aren't they reacting? Why aren't they begging for another chance? Suddenly, the power dynamic changes. The one who left is no longer in control of the narrative. because the person they expected to crumble has remained unwavering. In that moment, real power emerges from self-control. There is a timeless quote from Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It speaks to the heart of emotional mastery. People tend to believe external circumstances dictate their worth, as if heartbreak or rejection must automatically tear them apart. Yet the truth is more liberating. While they cannot control what someone else does, they can absolutely decide how they respond to it. That decision shapes their destiny far more than any outside force ever could. Some might wonder, isn't it unhealthy to bottle up emotion? Shouldn't they express how they feel? Emotional mastery does not mean burying feelings forever. It means refusing to be pulled into irrational or destructive actions. They can still speak their mind, but they do it from a place of clarity rather than desperation. They can still acknowledge pain, but they direct that pain into something constructive: a project, a workout regimen, a deeper relationship with themselves. Like a blacksmith forging a sword, they take the molten core of their hurt and hammer it into strength, discipline, and resilience. Others might ask, but what if I want them back? Won't my lack of reaction push them further away? In reality, false closeness born of pleading or guilt rarely endures. If someone returns solely because they feel sorry or pressured, the relationship becomes a fragile arrangement rather than a solid bond. Emotional mastery allows space for genuine reconciliation if it's meant to be. It also protects them from clinging to something that was never built on mutual respect. True attraction arises when two individuals are strong enough to choose each other freely, not because one broke down to win pity points from the other. Another question could be, what if my emotions are too intense? Sometimes I can't help but feel overwhelmed. The answer lies in practice. No one becomes emotionally unshakable overnight. The path to mastery involves recognizing triggers, learning when to step back and asking, what's really driving me right now? Logic or raw feeling? This doesn't imply ignoring sorrow or anger, but rather letting those feelings pass through without letting them seize the wheel. Over time, moments of clarity become more frequent, and the storms of the heart become easier to navigate. It helps to think of emotions like waves in an ocean. They rise and fall, sometimes crashing with immense force. A person who hasn't mastered their emotions is like a small boat tossed around by these waves, battered and bruised, hoping for calm seas. A person who practices control is the sturdy lighthouse on the shore, standing firm no matter how fierce the water becomes. The waves still come, but they do not topple the lighthouse. Instead, they break against it, eventually receding back into the vastness of the ocean. When someone sees this level of composure, they can't help but take notice. It's a rare quality in a world that encourages instant reactions and public displays of heartbreak. Emotional mastery stands out precisely because it's so uncommon. There's an aura around those who can remain unfazed by disappointment, who can stay present even when life tests them. People sense an unspoken confidence in that calm. They no longer hinge their worth on whether someone stays or leaves. Instead, they invest in the relationship with themselves, nurturing mental strength, physical health, and personal passions. This isn't a spiteful act or a game. It's self-care at its highest level. In this space, they discover a deeper resilience than they ever thought possible. Learning that heartbreak might bend them, but it won't break them. Ultimately, taming the storm within is not just a phrase. It's a call to realize the power that lies dormant in self-control. The journey of emotional mastery transforms heartache into wisdom and despair into self-respect. It teaches them that while pain may visit, it does not have to overstay its welcome or dictate their identity. Rejection loses its sting because they no longer fear it. In becoming immovable in the face of life's tempests, they emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of love than ever before, ready for whatever awaits on the horizon. Number 4, let go and watch them follow. The moment someone stops needing approval, stops seeking validation, and stops holding on, they become the one who is pursued. It's an undeniable truth. People are drawn to what feels just out of reach. As long as someone believes they have a guaranteed place in another's life, they feel no urgency, no fear of loss, and no reason to chase. Right now, that person might assume they still have control. They think their absence lingers in the other's mind, that their name still gets searched, that their pictures still get checked late at night. And as long as they believe this, they feel secure. Why? Because they know they're still wanted. Nothing kills attraction faster than certainty. Attraction is built on tension, on the unknown, on the possibility of gain or loss. The second that tension dies, so does the pull. That's why those who beg, who constantly try to prove their worth, who remain frozen in place waiting for someone to return, always lose. They strip away the very thing that makes them desirable. But the one who lets go, the one who moves forward without hesitation, becomes a mystery, and mystery is irresistible. They only question their decisions when the door they thought was open suddenly starts to close. The moment they realize that the person they left behind isn't waiting anymore, doubt starts to creep in. Did I make a mistake? Why aren't they trying to fix things? Why do they seem unaffected? That curiosity turns into something deeper, an obsession with understanding why. It's like an object placed just out of reach. As long as it's within grasp, there's no urgency to take it. But the second it begins to slip away, instinct kicks in, and the hand reaches out before the mind even registers the action. That's how the mind works when faced with something it once felt certain of, now slipping into uncertainty. Some might wonder, but if I stop caring, doesn't that mean I didn't truly care in the first place? Not at all. Letting go is not the same as never feeling. It's about refusing to be held hostage by emotions that no longer serve them. It's about recognizing their own worth outside of someone else's presence. Detachment isn't about being cold, it's about being free. Others might ask, what if I don't want to lose them forever? The irony is that the best way to be remembered, to be wanted again, is to become the one who cannot be easily reached. Clinging pushes people away. Walking away makes them wonder. The mind fixates on what it cannot fully grasp. This is why those who detach, who refuse to be controlled by another's absence, hold more power than those who wait. Think about luxury brands. They don't flood the market, they don't beg for customers. They remain exclusive. Because of that, people chase them. The same applies to human attraction. The less available someone seems, the more valuable they become. That's why the ones who care too much, who overextend, who refuse to let go, are often the ones who are left behind. But those who focus on their own life, their own goals, their own growth, become the ones who are chased. The truth is that attachment clouds judgment. It makes people believe they need someone else to feel whole. But strength, true strength, comes from realizing that no single person defines them. They don't need to convince anyone to stay. Their value doesn't decrease just because someone else failed to see it. Walking away doesn't mean shutting the door forever. It means refusing to stand at a doorway waiting for someone who might never return. It means reclaiming the energy once wasted on overthinking, on hoping, on chasing. Because the less someone cares about the outcome, the more control they gain over their own life. And the irony? The second they stop caring, they become the one who is remembered. Number 5. Your shift speaks volumes. Energy doesn't lie. Whether they admit it or not, they can sense when you've truly moved on. Right now, They assume you're still caught in yesterday's memories, still scrolling through old social media feeds, still clinging to every echo of the past as you lie awake at night. They comfort themselves with the belief that you're waiting, that somewhere beneath your composed exterior, you're still hoping for a sign, a message, or a glimpse of what once was. As long as they believe that, they feel secure, comfortable in the idea that they still hold power over your attention. But the moment you let go completely, when your energy shifts and you stop tethering your happiness to what once was, everything changes. Suddenly, an unsettling void replaces their certainty. They begin to question, why isn't that person reaching out? Why does your gaze wander freely into new horizons? Like a stone dropped in a quiet pond, the ripple of your newfound detachment spreads far and wide, stirring doubts they never expected. This isn't about a deliberate game of cat and mouse. It's about the natural law of energy. When you realign your focus inward, you send a message louder than any words could. A message that you are no longer defined by past attachments. Imagine a priceless painting that has always hung in the center of a gallery. When it's on display, everyone admires it, takes it for granted. But the moment it's removed, its absence is felt deeply. The space it once occupied begins to whisper of its significance. That is the silent power of your moving on. They start to wonder if they misjudged the worth of what they had. Because now your presence radiates a light that can't be dimmed by nostalgia or regret. You might ask, is it possible that just by shifting my focus, I can change how they see me? Absolutely. There's an old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But it's more profound than that. It's about letting your energy evolve so that you no longer rely on the past to validate your self-worth. When you cease the endless scrolling and stop rehashing old conversations, you create space for genuine growth. Your life becomes a story unfolding in real time, not a replay of what once was. Consider the metaphor of a radio dial. When you're stuck on a station that only plays static, you're trapped in the noise of what no longer serves you. But when you tune into a new frequency, a channel of clarity, of vibrancy, the transformation is undeniable. Your shift is like switching from static to a symphony. They can sense the change, even if you don't shout about it. As the great poet once noted, silence is the most powerful scream, and in your silence lies the story of renewal. Some may worry, what if they never notice? What if my moving on goes unseen? The truth is, energy is an undeniable force. It doesn't require validation, it simply is. When your actions reflect real inner peace and confident resolve, your state of being sends ripples through the world. They begin to wonder why the person they once knew now walks with an air of quiet assurance, free from the weight of what was. That curiosity, that subtle disquiet, is proof enough that your shift has made an impact. It's important to understand that moving on isn't about fabricating a new identity or staging a performance for the sake of impressing someone. It's about embracing authenticity, about allowing yourself to be unburdened by the need for external approval. The process is much like a caterpillar's transformation into a butterfly. The metamorphosis is not a mere illusion, but a genuine evolution that leaves no room for the old self to linger. When you've genuinely moved on, the energy you radiate is unmistakable, and those who once took your presence for granted suddenly find themselves facing a new reality. In the end, reclaiming your space and focusing on your own growth isn't a strategy to evoke regret or to trigger a chase. It's a declaration of self-worth. Your shift is a quiet yet powerful rebellion against the confines of the past. It's a reminder that nothing is permanent except your ability to reinvent yourself. And while they may try to convince themselves that your detachment is just a fleeting phase, the truth is that once your energy has shifted, it echoes in every moment, leaving behind a trail of questions they can't ignore. Your move has been made, and in that decisive moment, everything changes. Number 6. Let your success do the talking. They say that the only apology you need is success. No lengthy explanation, no desperate messages to prove you've changed, and no forced closure. What truly matters is the unmistakable proof of your growth. When you thrive independently, the moment someone expects you to linger in yesterday's shadows, they inadvertently leave room for you to shine brighter than ever before. Imagine a storm that has long raged over a barren field. When the storm finally clears, the resilient crops that have taken root in its wake stand tall and vibrant. That transformation, thriving in the face of adversity, is the only response that resonates. Many people waste precious energy trying to balance the scales of past hurts. They seek revenge or hope to trigger a pang of regret by replicating the very pain they once endured. But consider this. True power is not about inflicting wounds in retaliation. It's about cultivating indifference. As the ancient philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Instead of wallowing in bitterness, channel that energy into becoming someone so remarkable that the mere sight of your success leaves them questioning every decision they made. They might expect you to remain unchanged, waiting at the same old crossroads, scrolling through memories, or lingering in familiar routines. Yet when you decisively move forward, when you elevate every aspect of your life, your mind, your body, your ambitions, they can no longer ignore the shift. Success is not just an outcome. It is a silent testament to the inner transformation that has occurred. Picture a master sculptor who takes a raw block of marble and with every careful strike reveals an awe-inspiring statue. In that process, every chip and every polished curve sends the message that the artist has transcended the ordinary. Your achievements, your self-improvement become that living sculpture, a work of art they can't help but notice. At this moment, you may wonder, what if my success isn't enough? What if they still remain indifferent? The answer lies in authenticity. True success is not measured by fleeting applause or validation. It's found in the steady, unwavering progress of self-betterment. When you invest in yourself wholeheartedly, you build a fortress of confidence that no one can breach. This isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about honoring the promise you made to yourself. When you stop being tethered to the past, your newfound freedom becomes a beacon that draws admiration and respect, even if it stirs discomfort in those who expected you to stay the same. Think of the transformation of a phoenix rising from the ashes. The phoenix does not linger in the charred remains of its previous form. It ascends, vibrant and renewed, leaving behind only the memory of what once was. In the same way, when you let go of what no longer serves you and invest your energy in personal evolution, you send out a clear signal. You are reborn. And that rebirth is so profound that it challenges others to re-examine their own choices. The silent, unyielding progress of your life becomes the most potent reply, a message rendered in achievements rather than words. It's important to understand that this journey is not a quest for validation from those who once held your attention. It is an internal call to rise, to prove that nothing can diminish your worth. The quiet satisfaction of knowing you have overcome hardship, that you have transformed every setback into a stepping stone, speaks louder than any attempted reconciliation. In a world where many are content with mediocrity, choosing excellence becomes a revolutionary act. Every milestone you reach, every goal you surpass, reinforces the truth that your life's work is your answer to every challenge and every past regret. In the end, the undeniable evidence of your success is the most eloquent statement you can make. It's the clear, resounding message that while others may be stuck in old habits or familiar routines, you have chosen to grow. And as they witness your ascent, they come to realize that you have become irreplaceable. Your journey is not about making them feel remorse. It's about celebrating the power of your own transformation. Let your success be the silent apology, a message so profound that it needs no further explanation. Because in the light of your achievements, everything else simply fades away. Number 7. Disappear and watch the world notice. They expect you to wait. They expect you to linger in the past, watching from the sidelines while they move forward. They assume you'll break under the weight of silence, hoping for a moment of acknowledgement, a sign that they still think about you. That's what most people do. But you're about to do something they never saw coming. You're going to disappear completely. No messages, no reactions, no breadcrumbs left behind for them to follow. Not as a game, not as a strategy, but because you've simply outgrown the version of yourself that needed their validation. And when that happens, when you truly vanish from their world, something shifts. Most people fail here. They think moving on means proving something, posting highlights of their life in hopes of being noticed, curating a perfect image of happiness but that's still an attachment, that's still caring. And as long as they care, they remain tethered to a past that no longer serves them. True detachment doesn't announce itself. It simply moves forward quietly and relentlessly. Here's something most don't realize. People are addicted to attention. Even if they don't want someone back, they still want to know they could have them if they changed their mind. They crave the comfort of knowing they remain an option, a presence lingering in the background. But when that presence disappears, when the certainty of being desired is suddenly gone, panic sets in. The mind despises unanswered questions. That's why unfinished stories haunt us. Why an unresolved ending lingers far longer than one with clear closure. And the biggest question of all, why aren't they chasing me? That single thought creates an echo that grows louder with time. Certainty is comfortable. Uncertainty is unbearable. Some might wonder, but won't they forget me if I disappear? If someone can forget that easily, they were never truly connected to begin with. Real presence isn't maintained through constant reminders, it's felt through absence. The space once occupied by attention suddenly becomes noticeable only when it's no longer given freely. That's when curiosity shifts into regret. Others might ask, but isn't this just another game? The difference is in intent. Games are played to manipulate others. This is about reclaiming yourself. The strongest move is not in proving anything, but in walking away without needing acknowledgement. No explanations, no parting words, just the quiet, undeniable truth that you are no longer where they left you. Think of a candle burning in a dark room. When it's there, it's taken for granted. Its glow is barely noticed, but when it's blown out, the darkness is overwhelming. The absence is felt more than the presence ever was. That is the power of truly letting go, not to be missed but to be free. This isn't about them anymore. This is about reclaiming time, energy, and focus. It's about breaking free from the need for validation and stepping into a version of yourself that no longer waits. The second you stop playing their game, you start winning your own. And when that moment comes, when you finally understand that the past does not define you, you won't just disappear from their world. You'll evolve into someone they can never reach again. Number 8. They notice even if they pretend not to. They will never admit it. They will act as if they don't care, as if your existence has no effect on them. They will move through life as if they've left you behind without a second thought. But make no mistake, They're watching. Right now, they're telling themselves they made the right decision, reassuring themselves that they've moved on. But the moment they see you thriving without them, that confidence begins to crack. Doubt is a slow poison. It starts as a whisper, a passing thought, and then it lingers, growing louder with time. Here's what most don't realize: curiosity is more powerful than love. Even if they don't want to be with you, they still want to know what you're doing. They want to feel like they were the best thing that ever happened to you, like you'll never truly move on. But when that belief is shattered, when they see you standing taller, moving forward and unbothered, that's when the questions begin. They start checking in silence, scrolling through old pictures, scanning for signs of struggle, asking mutual friends about you, looking for anything that confirms what they want to believe, that you're still stuck, still waiting. And when they find nothing, when they see that you're not looking back, that realization will eat at them. People expect to be missed. They assume their absence will leave a gap too big to fill. And when you don't crumble, when you don't chase, it forces them to see you differently. Strength is unexpected. Detachment is unsettling. The more you move in silence, the more they feel the emptiness of what they once had. But this isn't about proving anything to them. It's not about revenge or trying to make them regret leaving. It's about living so well that their absence becomes irrelevant. Growth is not a performance. You don't need to announce your progress. You don't need to seek validation. Just rise quietly and consistently until the past no longer holds weight. And one day, whether weeks or months from now, they will feel the pull. It might be a random message, a like on an old post, or a familiar name suddenly resurfacing in conversation. It won't be an accident. It'll be the realization that they underestimated you. But by then, you'll be too far ahead to care. They're watching, but you're not waiting. In the end, the greatest shift happens not when you try to make someone notice your absence, but when you truly stop caring whether they do. Letting go isn't a tactic. It's a transformation. It's the decision to no longer let someone else's presence or absence dictate your worth. They might notice. They might not. But it won't matter anymore, because the moment you reclaim your power, the moment you stop waiting, the moment you rise, you become the one who is truly free, and that's the real victory. If you're ready to break free from the past and step into your own strength, make the choice today. Stop chasing, stop overanalyzing, stop waiting for closure that will never come. Instead, focus on you. Build yourself up, grow, evolve. Become so strong, so fulfilled, so unstoppable that their absence is nothing more than a distant memory. It starts now. Are you ready to let go and rise? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.